Hello again. I'm going to make a lentil and courgette bake, which is a lovely savoury side dish for any meat that you might be having for your meal. But equally, if you've got a vegetarian friend, it makes a really nice lunch dish. You don't need a whole lot of ingredients, but you use red lentils for this. So let's get started. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is chop an onion. And sometimes you find that if they haven't dried thoroughly, you get some soggy layers. So just look out, make sure it's a nice onion. I've got one or two nasty patches on there, but they'll come off. So we'll get rid of that, that's going to go on the compost heap. And then we just chop this. We don't need to be too careful, but use a bridge. The size of the pieces doesn't matter too much, but just cut so that you get sort of sensible size pieces. Right, so that's that done. Now the onion goes into a saucepan and we're going to cook this. I know it sounds a bit strange, but we're going to boil it with the lentils. In they go. That's 100 grams of red lentils. We're going to use a vegetable stock cube. And to that we're going to add 375 mils of boiling water. I'm going to get this over on the stove and cook this for 15 minutes. Red lentils don't need to be soaked like other ones do, but for this recipe we do this preparatory boiling. So spoon, lid on and over to the cooker, get it back to the boil and then simmer for 15 minutes. There we are. We've got that on, we've got to get this back to the boil, give it a stir because you need to make sure that the stock cube dissolves. And by boiling the onion with this, you get the maximum flavour, so it's a nice savoury dish, this one. Now we've got a good boil, give it a stir, and the lid can go on. We'll turn it down to simmer, and that's going to need 15 minutes. You will need to stir it sometimes, give it 2 or 3 stirs during that 15 minutes, just to make sure it's not dried out too much. You want it to be fairly thick and pulpy after the 15 minutes, okay? Now, while your lentils are stewing, you need to grate 75 grams of cheddar cheese, and you need to grate a medium-sized courgette. Don't take off the end where the stalk was, because that gives you something to hold on to, but just trim the bit where the flower was, and then grate that on the coarse holes of the grater. So I've grated my courgette, I've got a little tiny bit left at the end and it's a bit of a mess, but it doesn't matter too much. Try and get all the courgette onto your board if you can. And then what we're going to do is when the lentils have stewed for 15 minutes, we add the grated cheese, we add the grated courgette, we stir it all together and we put it into an oven-proof dish, a 1 litre dish, and it cooks in the oven for 40 or 45 minutes at gas mark 5. The thing about this is it's very good tempered, so if you've got the oven on at number 6, it'll still be quite happy at gas mark 6, which is 200. Gas mark 5 is 190 or 170 fan. So get these two things done while your lentils are stewing, and then we'll mix it all together and get it into the dish and decorate it. Right, the timer's gone. We've had our 15 minutes. And I think you can probably see this is very thick, very pulpy. The lentils have absorbed the stock, and now it's time to add the other ingredients, so it's going to go back over to the worktop next. Right, so the next thing we do is add our grated courgette. It looks as though there's a lot, but it cooks down, and it's quite a nice way of using courgettes actually, because they're not everybody's favourite. They don't have much of a flavour. But for this they add to the food value, so you've got plenty of protein and vitamins. To that we add our grated cheddar. That's kind of stuck in the bottom of my bowl, I'll just give that a stir. And then we mix them all together. That's the last bit of that. Now, so stir it all together. It takes a minute or 2 to get it combined. What will happen is the cheese will start to melt and the courgette will soften a little bit, and we just need everything to blend together. There we are, that's that. So it's well mixed, and now we need to get it into the 1 litre oven-proof dish. So we simply pour it in, and then we're going to just slice a tomato and use use that to garnish the top. And a red tomato, I've got some yellow ones, but I think really for this, that wouldn't be a very good colour. So I'm going to just do some slices of tomato. And that bit where the stalk is not something to serve to people. So if you get a slice, where is it? Here it is, cut that out. Little V-shaped cut there and there. And then lay them on the top just to improve the colour. That piece is broken, I'm not going to use that piece. And that's it. So now that goes into the oven and that cooks for, well, about 40 to 50 minutes depending on what temperature. 40 minutes at gas mark 6 and 50 minutes at gas mark 5. Okay? There we are, set the timer, we're away. Now the timer is gone off, so our lentil and courgette bake is done. Now it's bubbling nicely, it's gold, getting brown on the top, and it's ready to serve. And it's good as an accompaniment to meats of some type, or if you've got a vegetarian person, it's actually good as a main course with some extra, perhaps green vegetables, something like that. So very versatile. I hope you like this. Have a go, like, share, subscribe, and we'll look forward to seeing your photographs perhaps too.